me, just watch.
We're back on the Morning Brew with Friends, and this is Michael and Tony. Tony Monfilo, it's good to have you on the show this morning.
Thanks.
Have you been on before?
I have not.
Is this your first time?
First time.
That's hard to believe, because I've known you forever. And but you guys are having a great event. You're going right from here to an event at the Epicenter this morning. And Michael, you're in from out of town to come to this event and to kind of tour Albuquerque, right?
Yep, out of Eagle Rock in Colorado, at Estes Park, Colorado. We're here to support this innovation tour in the various innovative schools here in Albuquerque.
And this is innovation in schools. And so what kinds of things, when we talk about innovation in schools, how does that help create a workforce? How does that create, keep Albuquerque's economy strong, Tony?
Yeah, most of our work in Albuquerque has been around trying to understand where the community is going, what the future needs are of the community in different sectors, related to different sectors in the economy, and then building backward schools.
So if we say we need more TV show hosts, can you help?
Actually, one of the schools on the tour is the Media Arts School.
Oh, we love those guys.
Yeah. So they're one of the schools on the tour because they think hard about what are the communication skills and the future skills to be
a media professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just sitting here. We have 75 people working here in the crew that all needed to learn that somewhere.
Yeah, that critical thinking that goes along with being good at communications, understanding the future and the changes in the communications market. It's really a big deal.
Right. So how are we doing? I know you travel all over, Michael. You go to schools all over the nation and look at innovative policies and innovative ideas. What are we doing in Albuquerque? How do we rank? How do we stack up?
Yeah, the great thing is we're philanthropically funded, so we do this at no cost because of American Honda's support. And that means we get to choose whatever projects we want to work on.
That's a rare luxury.
Yes, it's really great. And so we choose to keep coming back to Albuquerque more than most places that we work at because of all the innovation that's occurring here. We're going to see 8 different schools this morning during the innovation tour, and they're doing some things that really go beyond what you see sometimes in New York City, Detroit, Portland. These are all other places that we work in. And
is that because we're more desperate here than they are in New York or Detroit? Or is that just because we have more ideas? Or what's going on?
Tony may have a better answer, but I do attribute it part to people like Tony. So there's people here locally who are looking for these opportunities and see what running room exists for these innovations. And so they're leading. There's a lot of great local folks that are leading the charge on changing schools.
What do you think it is? Is it that we need? We've always talked about diversifying our economy. We've always talked about bringing in manufacturing. We've always talked about things like we were just talking about Intel a minute ago and how that plant has been pretty stagnant, so those jobs aren't coming. What do we do, and what do we need?
Yeah, well, to answer the question of why Albuquerque, I really think it's that we're all 2 degrees of separation from one another. And I think that if you have a good idea in Albuquerque, you can run with it. And people get behind it, and because we're so relationship driven, you can actually make things happen, and there aren't a lot of log jams along the way of getting something done. And so,
well, if somebody has a good idea in Albuquerque, people say, I want to be part of it. They don't usually shut it down.
Right, and I think that in a lot of communities, there's always someone who's a gatekeeper around ideas, around projects, and in this town, it's just not nearly true so much. I think you can get something done here.
Right, people are excited to do things. And what's kind of the end goal in this? Is it creating the 21st century workforce? Is it helping create people who are, you were talking about adaptable people earlier, people who can critically think? Is it about creating people with specific skills? What are we looking at?
So in a general sense, what we're looking at is building schools that can be responsive to the community. And so education is known for really being very compliance oriented. So you follow rules. If you're an educator, you get told what to do, and you're really good
Here's
at following.
your lesson plan, go run with it.
Go do what we tell you to do.
Right.
And our mission is to create schools that are actually responsive to the community, so they listen to the community, they understand what the community needs, and then they're able to be responsive to that. So if you have media as an issue, right, where you need media professionals, well, you can create a school that has relationships with the media community and can create really compelling learning for kids that will prepare them for the future as well. So
we have students come in here and check out our set sometimes too. It's great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think a key is that it's not just responsive to the industry, but also to the communities in greatest need around here that Tony's been working with.
So, and what are those communities? I mean, we think about the typically poorer pockets of Albuquerque, but is that it, or is it just kind of the city in general?
So it is the city in general, although as you know from the latest data reported about Albuquerque, we have
Our graduation rate is plummeting,
we have a
right?
61% graduation rate, which is
Right.
just
What do you guys have in Colorado? We're at 61% here. Do you know off the top of your head what it is?
I
there?
don't. I don't know what it is in the state.
Better than that,
Yeah.
you think?
It's probably similar, maybe a
Probably
little
similar?
higher, maybe in the 70s or something like that would be my guess.
Not too far different.
But I've worked
though.
in New York City where it's been in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we try to put our schools in communities where the need is the greatest. Kids that are disenfranchised, families that are disenfranchised, and then we try to put the most innovative schools in those communities because we really feel like compelling learning is the way that you re-engage kids in school.
Who's a good example of that right now? I've seen, we were talking about the media arts schools earlier. I know there's the trade school, there's the math and science schools teaching STEM education. Who are some of the schools and what are some of the schools that are really stepping out of that and making
So I can give two examples from the network that we facilitate. So one is Health Leadership High School, which is going to be a school in the South Valley. On the
one built
campus.
yet?
It is. It's in a temporary location, but
Okay.
they're partnered with First Choice Community Healthcare.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they're going to build a school on the First Choice campus site in the South Valley. So there's real learning happening with real problems embedded in the community in the South Valley.
Real doctors, real dentists right there,
Yeah,
real
and kids getting
patients.
turned on to the challenges of working in the South Valley, the place that has the greatest health needs, kids as the asset to help solve that problem.
That's very
It's
cool.
thrilling. And then the second one is we have a technology school, which is located in the Sandia Tech Park, which is started there. A lot of coding, cybersecurity work happening there. And it will ultimately relocate into the Trumbull Park neighborhood, the International District,
Right.
where the greatest need is, a 49% graduation rate.
Wow.
At Highland High School, well, we need new ideas, new innovations happening.
How much of this is just finding ways to inspire students, and how much of this is ways that to create a better workforce? I mean, when I went to high school, it was really hard to get inspired to just even go because teachers were trying to teach tests. They were trying to teach boring stuff. You didn't care. If someone was teaching me coding in high school, I would have jumped on that.
Yeah. Well, there's a challenge that we have with re-engaging kids. So, and Michael actually is an expert, a national expert in this work. There are a lot of young people who have foreclosed on their future. And the most compelling learning helps make that happen, but you also have to have an inviting place that's inviting to kids and families, where it's less intimidating. You can bring young people in.
It doesn't feel like a high school with barbed wire around it with...
Yeah, and you don't feel like it's the place you just got thrown out of.
Right.
Right? Like
Right.
you weren't a kid who wanted to sit in rows. You weren't a kid who was going to be compliant, disciplined in that way, but
Right.
you are more of a creative thinker, and because of that, you weren't really fit or suited for that
Right.
factory model.
Yeah. So today at the Epicenter at 8 a.m., you guys are going to be having, I think, what are you going to be talking about today, Michael?
Well, I'm going to be hosting one of the 8 school
Okay.
trips at,
Excellent. Where are you
Albuquerque
going?
Sign Language Academy.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, they have beautiful services for all. They play, like, they liken it to being like an orchestra. You can't tell what role any adult has. They're all there wrapped around the kids.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's
is
really
that, is that
magical
a
place.
common model in schools today, or is that a uncommon model?
No, I would say that's part of the innovation that we could bring people down to Albuquerque to see.
I love it.
You know, to see that kind of coordination among services there.
That's very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll see you guys at 8 a.m. at the Epicenter. And in a couple of seconds, we have friends from the City of Albuquerque's Renaissance Fair coming in. They're going to give us a choral presentation. I wonder if they know
Very
any Prince.
Maybe.
We'll be back in a second on the Morning Brew.